According to statistics, 13% of U.S. employees report being bullied, while 24% say they have been bullied in the past and 12% say they have witnessed workplace bullying. Also, 49% of Americans asserted to the fact that they have been affected by workplace bullying as they were either a direct target or witness to abusive acts against a fellow worker. What constitutes workplace bullying? Dr. Judy Fisher Blando in 2008 carried out research on aggressive behavior titled, "Workplace Bullying and Its Effect on Satisfaction and Productivity." The research showed that about 75% of the employees surveyed had been affected by one or more forms of workplace bullying. This phenomenon is one that should raise concerns as it cuts across ethnicity, race, sex, as well as a geographical location but has been overlooked. The figures have been said to be burgeoning as the prevalence rate for workers who have been affected by bullying on the job currently stands at 7.4% according to the 2015 National Health Interview Survey Occupational Health Supplement (NHISOS). There is no singular accepted definition of workplace bullying as a number of sociologists and researchers have all given theories on the concept. However, a number of keywords have been recurrent in different definitions. The act or variation of acts must have been abusive with intent such that the person on the receiving end is, by virtue of their position, powerless. It must also have been repeated over a period and escalated. Workplace bullying is basically any covert or overt negative act by any person in a workplace that discomforts another. It is a continuous act of mistreatment in a workplace that causes either physical or emotional harm. It could be by harassment, negatively affecting one's task and functions, or by social exclusion. According to researchers associated with Arizona State University's project, workplace bullying is a combination of tactics in which numerous types of hostile communications and behavior are used. Usually, it is an act of a superior over an inferior person or someone of lower office or even a coworker. However, research has shown that bosses are the most common bullies, with approximately 72% of bullies being in higher ranks than their victims. Most times, those on the receiving end of such ill treatment are usually in a position where they cannot exactly defend themselves from such situations. Before any act including but not limited to any of those mentioned earlier can be labeled as workplace bullying, it has to progress over a period of time to the point where the person becomes a constant target of negative social overt or covert act. This is why it is defined by some as repeated health-harming mistreatment, verbal abuse or conduct which is threatening, humiliating, intimidating or sabotage that interferes with work, or some combination of the three. Although the act of workplace bullying cuts across spheres, the figures have been found to be disparate when it comes to gender. Women are at a higher risk of being at the receiving end, as a higher percentage of recipients are women and a higher percentage of perpetrators are men according to studies. According to a study carried out by Workplace Bullying Institute, women appear to be at greater risk of being bullied, as 57% of those who reported being a target of workplace abuse were women. 8% female than male workers were found to be bullied and/or threatened than men. Causes of workplace bullying. While the general cause of workplace bullying cannot be specifically ascertained, a certain number of factors have been discovered to encourage the act. Generally, a certain feeling of superiority is reason enough for one person in a workplace to bully another, as they can do it and get away with it in most cases. Also, most perpetrators do this to impose their superiority on others and create an impression with others. These factors could also be reasons people bully others in the workplace. 1. Age. Studies carried out show that there is a lower prevalence rate for workplace bullying for persons aged 65 and above in comparison with workers in other age grades. However, this doesn't give a final opinion, as there have been contrasting results in the studies carried out. 2. Skilled workers are often targets. An individual may become a victim of bullying at work because he or she receives so much positive attention from the work. If you are intelligent, creative, innovative, diligent, or you probably always go the extra mile in carrying out tasks, you might be a target for workplace bullying. Also, if you carry out tasks quickly and effectively, you are very likely going to be a victim of workplace bullies. This is because these bullies may feel inferior or may worry that they are not being noticed in the performance of their own duties. 3. Vulnerable people. Introverted, anxious, and submissive people tend to be victims of bullying in many cases than extroverts. This is why employees are advised to work on their self-esteem. More so, depression and stress may contribute to the attack of bullies. It is advised that you make efforts to get yourself treated if you find yourself in such a situation or condition. 4. Physical attributes. There is almost no physical characteristic of a person that does not have the potential to attract bullies. Some of these characteristics apart from being tall, short, and the likes can also be using glasses, having a protruded belly, a large nose, or even common adult acne. 5. Work environment. A work environment that accepts aggressive behavior or tolerates a high degree of interpersonal conflict will allow for an even-breed bullying. Even though organizations regard interpersonal conflicts as something trivial, it might escalate and end up being very toxic to the work environment. 6. Company policy and demands. In a company where there is no fair treatment of employees, bullying can easily ensue. Therefore, it is important that companies support and provide fair judgment to their employees. Also, it should make efforts to create and promote healthy workplace competition to avoid hatred among employees. Types of workplace bullying. 1. Verbal. This would be in forms of words and expressions made by one person to the other in a workplace that constitutes physical or emotional harm to the recipient. 2. Non-verbal. When a person doesn't exactly make use of words but still intends to hurt or offend another party. 3. Overt act. This is by some act that is apparent to others in the same workspace. It could be by verbal abuse, an overbearing act of supervision, or constant destructive criticism. 4. Covert act. These kinds of acts are not very obvious, but the effects can be felt by those to whom it is directed. This could be by passive aggressiveness, blocking promotions, or stifling progress. In this instance, a person could constantly perceive themselves to be on the receiving end of negative treatment from some other person or group of persons. Effects of workplace bullying. The different forms that workplace bully takes are usually harder to track and address because such covert and overt acts are usually within the allowed scope of behavior in the workplace. Most times, it stems from the wide range of discretionary power given to a superior in the workplace over subordinates. A lot of times, this practice has a ripple effect as it doesn't just affect the recipients of such acts. On one hand, workplace bullying has a drastic effect on the recipients as it tends to an unhealthy work environment and has negative effects on the self-esteem of subordinate workers. On another level, bullying in the workplace affects the core values and ethics of the work environment as other workers would, over time, consider this unhealthy habit as being normal. Following this would be an unfounded fear in prospective employees that would, in the long run, negatively affect productivity. 1. Bullying affects an individual's work performance. Bullied workers tend not to perform their duties to their maximum capacity. They may have problems like trouble making decisions, lack of concentration at work, low self-esteem, or loss of self-esteem. 2. Reduced productivity. Bullied workers also lose their productive time. This is because they channel most of their time into making efforts to defend themselves from further bullying, avoiding clashes, or even physically meeting the bully, looking for supports from people around, thinking, and strategizing how to tackle the situation. 3. Health risks. Not everyone has the capacity to contain or get over the bullying they have experienced. This might, in turn, affect their health and overall well-being of the individual. Some of the health effects of bullying include stress, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, high blood pressure, ulcers among many others. In fact, there are ongoing clinical researches about the health implications of bullies in the workplace. The researchers from the University of Manitoba discovered that bullying has more health consequences in a person than even sexual harassment. Most victims of bullying are often placed on psychotropic medications like antidepressants, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills. Workplace bullying also has its effects on employers at the workplace, especially where they are not making efforts to prevent it. Some of these effects include: 1. Increased risk of legal action. 2. Creating a hostile work environment. 3. Reduced productivity where cases are many. 4. Promotes absenteeism among workers. 5. Poor public reputation. 6. Additional costs to recruit as well as train employees. How to prevent workplace bullying. 1. Understand the reality of workplace bullying. Many organizations hate to acknowledge the reality of workplace bullying and turn deaf ears when they even hear snippet news. There is a need for managers or heads of organizations to acknowledge that bullying can occur in their companies no matter how absurd or immature it might sound. On the part of most employees, some bullying victims do not even know when they are being bullied, even when it has caused them so much physical and mental stress. According to Moriarty, there are 3 categories of bullying. This is to help employers and employees identify behaviors that amount to bullying and can be detrimental to workplace productivity. These categories are: sabotaging a co-worker's performance and rumor spreading, pranks, name-calling, and hurtful teasing, intimidation that causes an employee to do something that is against his will. Therefore, clearly defining these issues will help employees and employers understand when they are going too far in terms of relating and joking with coworkers. 2. Take bullying reports seriously. An organization must create the principle and standard of having zero tolerance to attitudes around bullying regardless of who the bully is or the rank of the bully in the organization. There could be an executive-level position solely dedicated to ethics and compliance with issues like bullying. They have to be an independent body that is empowered to make fair and objective decisions. Victims, on the other hand, can make sure they have detailed documentation of the bullying incidents to reflect the time, dates, and names of witnesses if there were any present. 3. Responding quickly and decisively to reports of bullying. An organization's management should be able to respond quickly to issues of bullying by conducting investigations with immediate effect and alerting the necessary authorities. Companies should also have rules and regulations that would be made available to employees. This will prevent potential employees and will be a hint to them that the company is serious as regards enforcing the stated sanctions. Performance reviews should also take into account the management styles and ethical behavior to make sure managers take the company's standards very seriously. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel below. Then turn on your notification so you'll be the first to see our updates. Also, leave your feedback, questions, or suggestions in the comment section. Don't forget to check the description below for more details. And visit our website, officema.com for more office content like this. Thanks for your time.